is the Fade 5 Podcast with Brad Evans and Nate Lundy.
Place your bets, you jackwagons. Brad the Big Noise Evans here, joined by the good sir Nathaniel Lundy. 'Tis indeed the Fade 5 Podcast, and it is a Friday, and the usual ritual that we do every single Friday is we roll through our favorite
pants.
Well, that's a must always. That's why we record from the chest up, Lundy, because it's always a party down below.
I'm sorry. Maybe I wasn't supposed to admit that on the broadcast, that Fridays get a little freaky on the program. But hey, I'm in a great mood. Last night, the hockey gods were good to me. And the advantage of that, Brad, there were 10 games on the ice in the National Hockey League last night, which means I could just sit and flip through the channels and I didn't have to watch that bullshit of a Thursday night game.
Yeah, and I wish I had your ability to soak in as much of the puck as possible, because I did not watch any of the hockey. I endured torture. I mean, it was up there with the medieval rack. Like, I was being stretched in every single part of my body. It was horrific, especially the ending. Hang on to the football, Darnell Mooney. You make the catch, it doesn't get dislodged, and you win the stupid game.
Yeah. Now, I really want to know, though, have you reached a point where you are going to stop wagering on primetime games? Because it's starting to be a kick to the nether regions.
Yeah, whether it's Thursday night, whether it's Sunday night, whether it's Monday night, I think I've only profited 3 times this season in all 3 games in a given week. So it's been brutal, man. It really has. I've been flourishing during the day slate on Sunday. But the lights are turned on, the sun goes down. We'll take all your damn money.
Yeah, it's exactly what happens. It's the we lure you in, we lure you in, we lure you in. And then whack right upside the head.
Yeah, I get a lot of slaps upside the head, and hopefully my Fighting Illini will not do that, and they are playing in the sunshine, 11 a.m. Central Time. I will be in attendance on Saturday. I'm going to have my pick to click in that game momentarily, but Lundy, indulge me. We got another football fiesta, ande, Reba on Saturday. Are you fading the Buffs? Because that's very profitable, I hear.
Well, actually, I'll be honest with you, Brad. I might actually take them with the points this week, and it's only because obviously they fired the coach, but they're coming off their bye week and they're playing Cal. Okay, and really, when we're talking about kind of the bottom of the Pac-12, Cal's kind of hanging around down there. I mean, CU is like way down. CU's like in the, if there's a sub basement, that's where CU is. But I might actually take the Buffs with the points this week, only because they're coming off the bye. But my favorite play in college football for Saturday is actually a total. And that is, I am going to take a look at the Jayhawks and the Sooners, and I am going to play the over at 62.5. That's the number you can get it at right now at BetMGM. It's just a standard juice at a -110. You look at the way these two teams have played last year. I want to say it was 35-23, if I'm remembering off the top of my head. So it would have tucked just underneath this number, but that one was at Booth Memorial in Lawrence. This one is actually going to be in Boomer Soonerland. So I'm actually going to say that this one gets kind of ugly because the Sooners just keep allowing everyone to score on them. That just appears to be the thing. But we also know that the Sooners are more than capable of scoring. And Kansas's defense, not exactly like your Fighting Illini, Brad, shall we say. So in this one, really on Saturday, like I said, one of my favorite bets of the day is actually a total, and that's to take the over between the Jayhawks and the Sooners.
It's a theme officially, because I'm going to take a total as well. And as I already teased it, it's going to be in that Minnesota and Illinois game. And I'm taking the under on 39.5. It's just way too high. Illinois is number 1 in college football in points per game allowed, giving up just 8.0. Minnesota, number 2 in that category, giving up 8.8. Now, Minnesota is getting Mo Ibrahim back, their stud running back, but you can't run on Illinois. They're allowing well south of 3 yards per carry. We will also see who's going to be under center for my Illini is going to be Tommy DeVito. who's battling an ankle injury, or is it going to be Art Sikowski? It's really up in the air. I know DeVito got in a very light session of practice yesterday. We'll see what happens at tape time on Friday. But there are other injuries to play here for Illinois, though they're not as severe as originally expected. Most notably, Isaiah Williams going to be back a wide receiver in this game. But still, it's all about defense. That is the name of the game in this this contest. And as a result, I got to take that under on 39.5.
Yeah, you have to. And you're also talking about two of the best running backs, right? I mean, the clock's just going to keep moving. Yep. That's the other reason that you play into the under. So really like that one as well. So there we are. We got a couple of totals to get you started on a Saturday.
Yeah, make it rain some cashola on Saturday. Let's get into Sunday with another edition of the Fade 5.
Number 5.
All right, my cousin who definitely absorbed all the athleticism in the family and then some. Mike Evans is his name, and I'm going to take the over on Mr. Evans. 63.5 receiving yards, minus 115 at BetMGM. Look what Mike Evans has done. He's gone over this number really consistently this season. He is a clear number one target for Tom Brady, one of the pace setters and average depth of target as well. And you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, the secondary, relatively unexciting. They have underachieved for much of the season. I think Brady is going to have his way. I think Brady's got to flirt with 300 yards in this game. Could get out of hand early, but that damage inflicted in the early portion of the game will probably be by chunk gains acquired by Mr. Evans. So push comes to shove. This line opened at 61.5. It's at 63.5 right now. I would play this up to probably 67.5, 68.5. I think he's going to be darn close, if not over 70 yards in this game. So Lundy, fade or follow. My cousin, Mike Evans, over 63.5 receiving yards, minus 115 at BetMGM.
Volume. Just keep feeding the man. Really like this one. Do you know off the top of your head what his anytime touchdown is? Because I might want to toss that in as a play in this game as well. I can look it up. I'm
keep talking. I'll look it up.
You know, I'm actually able to do that. I have spent more than 3 decades of my life in radio, which means I can fill time. I can talk about all kinds of things. I can provide you with recipes. I could tell you farming stories that would turn your head. I'm sorry, little WKRP reference there. Did you find it? Did you find
it?
Yes.
Yes. Best odds in the industry right now at Caesars plus 115.
I like that one. So I like him with the over here. I also like him for the red zone opportunities. Obviously, huge target. I mean, he's an easy one to be able to dump it off to. So I like the yards, and then an early bonus time for you. I like Mike Evans for an anytime touchdown.
Ooh, I like that one too. Do it for the fam, Mike Evans.
Number 4.
All right, let's go to a game with a stupid total of 54.5 at some of the books at tape time. I wouldn't be surprised if that climbs a little bit higher in the end. It's a repeat of what we saw in the playoffs last year. At least that's what we hope. And body blow levied by each club in that game. And hopefully, again, it will be another heavyweight battle of scoring of sorts in the afternoon between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. And I am taking the over on Josh Allen, 292.5 pass yards, minus 115 still at DraftKings, but this line is already moving. And I think it's going to be at or over 300 by the time the first snap occurs on Sunday. And for good reason, it should be higher because Josh Allen has eclipsed this number 4 times this season. He's number 5 in total air yards, and he has the 3rd best deep ball completion rate in the NFL. You saw last week with the idiocy played, and I mean that in the best way possible, by Gabriel Davis in the one-armed catches down the field with DB draped all over his back. Made Josh Allen look good, but Josh Allen also putting in a play so a defender couldn't even make a play on it. But you look at Kansas City giving up 6.77 pass yards per attempt, but they're also allowing 277.4 pass yards per game. Tom Brady's been over this against them. Justin Herbert hit the over against KC as well. Josh Allen, book it. This is nearly, because guarantees and locks, I know a lot of people like to use that dumb word, don't really exist, but as close as it gets to the G or the L word, I'm feeling very dunkish. I'm going to flush one through the cylinder on Josh Allen and this over 292.5 pass yards, minus 115 at DraftKings. Should I give you an alley-oop, Lundy?
Oh, no.
Follow.
I'll be that guy in the front row with the Bulls, with just the hands in the air, right? When it's going on behind, I'll be our new favorite meme. Look, not only is Josh Allen obviously more than capable of doing this. You look what's happened. Justin Herbert got up to a 330 something. Brady went for 385. It's just, you can do that against this Chiefs team. Yes, I think a rematch of this in the AFC Championship would be spectacular, just because it's fun to watch these teams play. It's like, this is one of those where I actually do sometimes wish these two teams were in the same division just so we could see them play twice a year. Guaranteed. So take the over with this one. This also plays really well into some same game, one game parlays. If you want to, you can just take this down a notch. Brad and I were messing around looking for the triple double prior to going on the air here with you on the podcast. We were building all kinds of same game parlays together. We honestly should start the broadcast while we're doing that, Brad, because it's pure comedy when you and I are just making stuff up before we even get going.
Oh, speaking of same game parlay, I'll have more in bonus time in regards to this game.
Number 3.
All right, let's live in the land down under right now on James Robinson. I am under on 40.5 rush yards. Yeah, that's seemingly an achievable threshold for him to cross, but that's minus 115 at DraftKings. Why am I fading Robinson? It's very simple. The workload has decreased the last couple of weeks. He's been under 50% of the opportunity share in back-to-back games. You're seeing more Travis Etienne get involved, not only as a receiver out of the backfield, but especially on the ground. And the matchup is very difficult on paper. Indianapolis has only allowed 2 guys to surpass 41 yards on the ground in a game. They're surrendering just 3.3 yards per carry and 79.2 rush yards per game to the running back position in total. You look at Robinson, as I mentioned, the workload hasn't been there in consecutive weeks. Neither has the output as well. He has gone under this in the last 2. Acquiring just a 2.25 yards after contact per attempt mark in those 2 lackluster efforts. And as I mentioned, Etienne getting a lot of the work, and that could continue in a game in which it could be Illinois, Iowa, or maybe Bears, Commanders all over again. One that might have a total below like 30 between the Colts and the Jaguars. So fade or follow James Robinson under 40.5 rush yards, minus 115 at DraftKings.
Well, look, if you're a fantasy owner of James Robinson, you already know a lot of what we're trying to correlate here from a sports betting standpoint for the under. You're talking about like 3 fantasy points 2 weeks ago. I think he was at 6 last week. The snap share is way down. It's below 50% in the last 2 games. He's had a couple of red zone carries, but I mean, who cares at this point? So you just look at what the workload has been telling you, like pay attention to those deeper stats. So you can see it within the stat line, right? You see it when you see 8 carries or 10 carries, that the opportunity isn't there compared to when he had 23 carries against Indianapolis back in week 2. But it's also, look, it's the golden rule, right? You got to be on the field to be able to do anything. And he's not out on the field. Nope. He's sub 50%. And I think last week it was even sub 45% of the snap share that he's getting. He's just not on the field. And if you're not on the field, unless you break one, unless you rattle off a 25-yarder, it's just not happening with this 40 number. So I think I've got to play the under. Now, do I get concerned that he might break one off? He's capable of doing it, but I think this is going to be a snooze fest of a game. So I'm with you. I'm playing the under here on J-Rob.
Live in the land down under, you jackals, on James Robinson.
Number 2.
All right, let's go to a popular name right now in fantasy football circles, and somebody that should also be a popular name in the player props market. That is Kenneth Walker III. And I am taking the over on 62.5 rush yards, minus 115 at BetMGM. Look, the Bills and Chiefs are getting all the hype this week, and for good reason in terms of points that they're going to put on the board. But I think another shootout affair is going to be down there in the desert between Seattle and Arizona. And I think Kenneth Walker, with his 4.39 40-yard speed, his break tackle ability, is going to rip off a couple of long gains in this one. You look at Arizona, they're giving up 4.44 yards per carry to the running back position. Now, they're only giving up 76.4 rush yards per game to RBs. But again, it's that per touch basis where they have been gashed often this year. Seattle, very balanced offense. They're number 16 in run rate in the league. And you look at Walker, he ran for a 69-yard TD last week against the Saints. He's accumulated some sizable yak as well, 2.83 yak per attempt to be exact. So on roughly, I think, 17, 18 carries, he's easily going to surpass 62.5 rush yards in my estimation, unless this game gets really lopsided in a hurry for Seattle, which I don't believe it will. So, Lundy, fade or follow Walker over those 62.5 rush yards, minus 115 at BetMGM.
Is it bad? I just want to pass on this one. Can I just pass? Can it just be like, you're sitting there?
Give me a slight lean.
I'll give you a slight lean to the over, but this is one that I would pass on. And it's only because the last couple of times, Brad, when I've seen a player that, maybe it's a receiver, maybe it's, it's like Pickens, and maybe it's Kenneth Walker. Maybe it's, every time I go into a week where there's all this hype, there's all this excitement, it's all this, look at what this guy has been doing. Look at the fact that
Curtis Samuel last night, prime example.
Oh, yes. Very good example. These guys always wind up falling on their face. It just pisses me off, man. I get so excited. I'm like, yeah, my fantasy team. Yes, I found the guy that's going to help me get out of the hole. No, doesn't happen. So I'm going to give you a slight lean, just like a, you know what it is, Brad? It's a drunken lean is what it is. Like, I'm not standing up straight. I'm just kind of slightly to the side in my bar stool. That's where I am right now. So this is one that I probably would stay away from. I'll give you just a nudge to the over.
No, this is, to quote Fat Joe, a gangster lead on the over 62.5 rush yards on Kenneth Walker.
Number 1.
All right, my top play of the week, and I feel very confident about this. I've actually been outstanding in terms of my execution on top plays on the Sunday broadcast. I don't know if you know this, Lundy, but I've gone 5 for 5.
What?
On the Fade 5 on Sundays, I believe, in consecutive weeks now. So streaks are made to be broken, which means I'll go over this time around.
You won't go over, but you'll drop like a 1 for 4 burger on somebody is what you'll do. That's what's coming.
That means Josh Allen's the only over that's going to hit this week. But the other over that I really do like, at least on paper, and I have wagered on this multiple units as a result, is Jeffery Wilson Jr., and I'm taking the over on 64.5 rush yards, minus 115 at BetMGM. I would play this up to 69.5, 70.5 rush yards for the veteran RB of the Gold Panthers. He has done this in 4 straight games. You look at San Francisco, they are run heavy, much like they always are under Kyle Shanahan. They're running the ball 50.8% of the time. You look what Wilson has done. Rush yards over expected is an actual stat per attempt. So he's making the most of his opportunities. That is tracked by Next Gen NFL Stats. He's number 7 in that category. And he's got a 2.82 yak per attempt, which is not outstanding, but is at least decent. And when you're running behind a plus offensive line that can open up the holes and you have the volume at your disposal, you can inflict some serious damage. And that's certainly going to be the case against the ATL, as the Falcons have been grounded by RBs this season, giving up 4.64 yards per carry. So add it all up, carry the one, and I think Wilson gets to at least 70 yards on the ground. Fade or follow my Wilson over 64.5 rush yards, minus 115 at BetMGM.
This one I will take the gangster lean on. Yes, I will take the over on Mr. Junior, Jeff Wilson Jr. You always got to get the right, just like Melvin Gordon III. You always have to try
Kenneth Walker III.
Yes, you always have to work that part in. You want to pay tribute to those that came before you. Yes, I like the over here with Jeff Wilson. 64.5, not enough for me. Very comfortable with this one. Could also be, Brad, another nice anytime touchdown play here on Mr. Wilson. I also like this one. I'm into kind of some anytime. I've been staying away from the anytime touchdowns over the course of the last couple of weeks, just because I've frankly I've swung and missed numerous times, much as I would if I were facing Nestor Cortez, for example. So I've had a few swings and misses when it came to the anytime touchdowns, but I've decided here as we get ready for this week in the National Football League that I'm going to try to get back on that horse and cross my fingers that it doesn't buck me.
Well, we did hit on Thursday Night Football with Brian Robinson plus 270, so hopefully that shall continue.
And unfortunately, see, you jumped on it really early. I got Brian Robinson yesterday, but I got him at plus 195. That's how far his number had come down.
Not
Still,
bad.
obviously, spectacular numbers. I'll take it anytime I can get plus odds. But, yeah, I think that's actually what's seducing me into the anytime touchdowns this weekend, which means, son of a bitch, I'm probably screwed.
You are screwed, which means why don't you offer some more fadeable wagers in bonus time, Lundy? What else you got? Could be college football, could be Major League Baseball, the NFL, the NHL. What do you got on this Friday?
We got it all. I don't have a good feel for tonight's college football, so I'm staying away from that. For the rest of the college football, obviously, I've got You Bet College Football, my television show that airs tomorrow morning on Altitude here in the Rocky Mountain region. But I put a huge number of those picks on the spreadsheet, so make sure you go grab the college picks off of the spreadsheet for tomorrow. Let me start on the ice. Last night was profitable for us. Let me throw a TYG special, as we call it, the Trust Your Gut special tonight. Montreal is on the road to take on the Red Wings. Montreal already beat Toronto to actually start off the season. This is one of the worst teams in the NHL last year, but I think, frankly, they woefully underachieved. I think this Montreal team is actually better than that. They're plus 140 right now on the road, just straight on the money line. I say they start off the season 2-0, so I'm going to take the plus odds on Montreal at a plus 140 tonight on the road at Detroit. There's only 4 hockey games on the schedule tonight. I told you last night was super busy with the total of 10. Baseball is being played like practically while you and I are recording this, Brad, because they're doing the make good from the postponement last night. So the Yankees and the Guardians are playing at like 11 a.m. Eastern or something like that. So unfortunately, I can't throw that pick out there. But for the other 2 games, this is probably another TYG, but I'm going to throw this out there. 2-legger. The Phillies on the money line and the Padres plus 1.5. If you do that right now at BetMGM, it is plus 200 on that, just 2-legger. I think San Diego might win outright at home, but at the very least, I think they can keep it close, which leads me to a same-game parlay for tonight between the Padres and the Dodgers. So try this one on for size. Shall we? I need Tony Gonsolin to have 2 strikeouts. That's it. Just 2. Ooh. I need Blake Snell to have 5 strikeouts total. By the way, Snell's standard line is at 6.5, so I brought him all the way down to 5. I need Freddie Freeman to get a hit. I need Trey Turner to get a hit. And then San Diego plus 3.5. Just somehow keep this game close, Padres, at home. And I think they might win this one outright against the Dodgers. Gonsolin 2+, Snell 5+, Freeman hit, Turner hit, San Diego plus 3.5. That is a plus 300 right now at I built that things. That is a spicy one right there. Couple more for Sunday for you. Like Breece Hall over 19.5 receiving yards. That one is at a minus 110 at BetMGM. That number has crept up a bit, but I still like him at the plus 19.5. And how about a little George Kittle action, shall we? Give me the over on 42.5 receiving yards for him. 5 dudes have gone over this total against the Atlanta Falcons, and I say Kittle does it as well. So give me the over on his receiving yards. That, my friend, is my bonus time for a Friday.
All right, my bonus time. Let's start off with college football on Saturday. I agree with Lundy. I'm not touching any of the Friday specials that are being offered, but I like the Spartans of Michigan State at home against the Wisconsin Badgers. I'm going to take the plus 7.5, and I think Captain Hook, yar, shiver me timbers, is going to come into play on this one. You look at Wisconsin, number 64 in the country in total offense. Been much better defensively, number 26 in total D, giving up just 320.5 total yards per game. Michigan State, one of the worst defenses in the country, no question about it, allowing 445.5 total yards per game, but they hopefully will tighten it up against the run. I think they have enough firepower offensively to keep this one respectable again at home against a Wisconsin team that recently fired their head coach, thanks to my Illini, and are still kind of meandering through their development. So 7.5, I feel, is too many points. Give me the Sparty Party against the Badgers. The other game that I like on the late night tip is San Jose State, who's been playing outstanding football here of late. They're on the road against Fresno State, who is the polar opposite, not playing outstanding football. They've only got one win on the season. I like San Jose State laying the 8.5 as the visitors in this game. I mean, Fresno lost to freaking UConn. That's all you need to know. That really summarizes it, and that was on the road, granted, but they're number 85 in the nation in total offense and number 88 in total defense. They're giving up over 200 rush yards per game on defense, and San Jose State's got Kyrie Robinson, who's averaging 4.8 yards per carry. He is going to be the key in this contest. And not only that, too, but the Spartans wielding a sharpened short sword, giving up 16th best 380.6 total yards per game. So I think San Jose State wins by double figures in this game. All right, let's go to the NFL. Some other player props that I like. George Pickens has fallen. It opened at 47.5 receiving yards against Tampa. It's down to 44.5 right now at several books. What an incredible value in my estimation. You look at the last 2 weeks, he's seen 8 targets in both. He's caught 6 balls in both. He went for 102 against the Jets and 83 against the Bills. So it's not like he's facing the sisters, the motherless poor, by any stretch of the imagination. He's top 11 in air yards and yards per target and total deep targets right now. With Kenny Pickett, they got a nice little rhythm going on, as evidenced last week. And Carlton Davis in coverage has given up a 102.6 passer rating to his assignments. 6 guys have gone over this number against that Bucs secondary this season. So I like Pickens, again, over 44.5 yards. Speaking of rookies, love Breece Hall on the total yardage. So rushing plus receiving, 82.5. I'm going to take the over on that. Look at the volume. And, marking this sequentially, he's gone 14, 18, and 20 touches over the last 3 weeks. So that has been ticking upward, that overall volume. He's RB6 in yards created per touch, RB14 in yards after contact per attempt. He's facing Green Bay, who's given up 5.11 yards per carry and 146.5 total yards per game just to the running back position. You like same game parlays? Yeah, I know you do. I do as well, especially when they're plus money.
So much fun.
As I teased, here's the payoff in this Bills and Chiefs game. This is a 4-legger, and I put this together at DraftKings on plus 195 are the odds. Josh Allen, 275 plus pass yards. Again, I think he's going to exceed the 290s on the standard line. Josh Allen, 2+ passing touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes, 250 plus pass yards. And Patrick Mahomes, 2+ passing touchdowns, which he's done at all but one game this season. So all those thresholds hit on that 4-legger. You're looking at plus 195. And for S's and G's, let's just throw out another one. Rub-a-dub-dub, Nick Chubb. The Chubb Club is going to be serving up fine bottles of top shelf tequila. I love the over on 90.5 rush yards against the New England Patriots. New England's given up 4.34 yards per carry, 93.8 rush yards per game. Chubb, one of the pace setters and yak per attempt at 4.23. He's hit 113 rushing yards in a game in 4 of 5 matchups. So it's just 90.5 on the Chubb Club. So fire him up. And maybe, do a 1-game parlay with him and maybe Kareem Hunt. Maybe Ramondre Stevenson as well when that number comes out. And that is a wrap on this edition of the Fade 5 podcast. Please drop us a rating and a review wherever you're consuming this podcast. You could be streaming it on YouTube. Drop us a rating review there, or you're just firing up the earbuds with the auditory version. Any feedback helps us out tremendously. Follow Lundy in his spreadsheet. Absolutely free on Twitter at Nate Lundy. Mine as well at Noisy Huevos. Until next time, as always, feed or follow. That is up to you.